Good evening. Good evening, friends, and a very warm welcome to this session on the four stages of bonding, conducted on behalf of Manthan Psychology. I'm the founder of Manthan Psychology. In today's session, we will be covering the four important lifespan activities of Manthan Psychology, trying to address the four areas across the lifespan. Before I start, I would like to say what I would cover in this session, why we have picked up this topic called bonding, and why is it so much applicable. So we will go through the four different stages a child goes through and a parent goes through in this parenting cycle or the childhood development. We will try to give you some indications of what are the observations that you need to make to identify if the child is growing normally or if something different is being seen through. Then we will also go in order to find out what are the different disorders that exist in these age groups, just to create an awareness so that you don't ignore that. And finally, how do we help the parents? Try to give them certain practices, generally what I call as the rules. Probably if you can practice this on a daily basis, applying the 10 different rules that I bring to you in this session, you would be able to see that parenting goes through a different dimension in the positive parenting cycle. So without much delay, let's get into this session. Let's try to keep it interactive, and I would encourage you to ask questions or express your opinions. Preferably, I'll try to cover this entire thing within 30 to 45 minutes, and the last, maybe the 30 minutes or 15 minutes, we'll leave it for the question and answer session. Having said that, let's move on to the slides. So friends, why is this so very important, right? According to lifespan psychology, a branch of psychology, from the time a child is born till about adulthood, so let's say till the time he gets married or starts looking after his own life as an entity, it almost spans across 25 years. And through these 25 years, the child goes through various stages of development, just not physically but also mentally. During this, what the child picks up is what we can actually see as his behavior, his character, or his personality in different stages. But do you know that there are two various factors that basically play an important role here? One is, of course, the bonding. And the second one, which is much more important, is actually the responsibility part. So, why is it so important? Because as we grow from the bonding stage, parents gradually move towards the responsibility stage, ignoring the bonding or carrying forward the bonding that has been created. Or let us also say, some of them try to assume that the bonding would get deeper and deeper with time. Not in many cases this happens. So, it becomes a little important for us to understand and probably learn those small tricks to say, how do we actually keep this bonding as a parallel activity along with the responsibility? And trust me, in a few moments from now, you will probably have an eye-opening session in terms of knowing if there is a lack of bonding, if there's a lack of emotional connection, if the parent is not able to connect with the child, what happens? So, these are some of the things that you should be observing in a child when the bonding or during the four different stages of the development. So let's say in the early childhood, there are the four stages: early childhood, middle childhood, adolescence, and emerging adulthood. So if you put it in different terms, it's like 0 to 5 years or the first 6 years, where the child starts going to your nursery, Montessori, and then just gets into the schooling age, gets into the first standard. 6 to 12 is the age when they actually start experiencing the world that they were cocooned in or brought up. 12 to 18 is the age when they start experiencing that world or trying to consolidate, in the sense they try to put together their personality, identify who they are, create their own routines, their own unique identities, their groups or their special interests. All these things happens in the stage 3. Stage 4 is where they become independent, and this is from the age of 18 to 25. So let's say it's almost, after your 12th standard till about graduating and getting a job. This is the age where they would want to see some stability in life, where they would want to handle things on their own, take responsibility, and move on. But there's some interesting facts here, right? In the early childhood, we put a lot of emphasis on bonding because the child is new. You have an opportunity to teach the child everything, right from empathy, emotion, how to fall, how to walk, how to get up and walk, how to speak, how to recognize people, how to identify strangers. So there's a lot of bonding activity happening here. If you flip the perspective and see, then you would see that at this point, basically what parent is doing is the parent is entering the child's world. He's actually going inside that world and then teaching the child, right? This makes a lot of difference for the child because the child gets a sense of belongingness, the child feels secured, the child feels safe. Now, what happens in the second stage? Now, if you look at the second stage from first standard till about the sixth standard of 5 to 12 years of age, partially responsibility also starts playing a role in the parent's life. Parents are worried about the education, the quality of school, the quality of life, the quality of lifestyle that they are giving to the kids and they want to give, the kind of school that the child has to go, the peer group, what kind of people they are mingling with, what kind of friends they have, what kind of society they live in. So a part of the responsibility also starts coming in. At the same time, the child is getting exposed to a very larger world. Now, this is a very tricky situation. The first stage, the child has actually seen growing in a very safe environment. Now, all of a sudden, it has started going to the school and seeing a larger world. When it starts seeing a larger world, it has a lot of questions because there's conflicts and difference of opinions. This is where it is very, very important for the parent to start building the bond and taking it to a different level. Again, go inside their world, experience that, and then say them. Similarly, in every stage, the parent-child cycle goes on. So, what are some of the things that you should be observing? The reason I'm trying to emphasize on what you should be observing and be concerned about or pay attention to is because most of the time I have heard parents who come to me for counseling, therapy, or the schools and colleges where I visit that they're small, they would grow, they will adapt, they will learn. It's all fair and good. It's nice. It's nice to see them learning things on their own. But in case it persists, it exists for a little longer time, then I would suggest you take the immediate step to correct it. Why? Because over the years of 25-year period, what happens is these negative experiences accumulate in the children and can become the cause of bad behaviors or maladapted behaviors, personality differences, or inferior personality, or to that matter, they could even be psychologically impacted with simple things like depression, no motivation, or lack of willpower. So, where does this transformation start actually? In the second stage. The most important thing in the first stage that one should be observing is if this child becomes extremely attached, clinginess, it gets stuck to the parents, it does not want to go into the world, then I think you need to understand that the child is feeling insecure, or there is an extreme case of attachment. On the other hand, some children also show extreme detachment in the sense they don't worry about the strangers. They just go and talk. Anybody offers chocolate, they just go and pick up. Anybody comes and smiles at them, they start smiling and talking. We should be very cognizant, or we should be very, very careful in terms of judging this over a repeated number of times or over a period of time. So, there are a few also disorders that you will have to take care here. One of the reasons I would like to emphasize on the stage one is because things like autism spectrum disorder, dyslexia, dyscalculia, all these are related to learning disabilities, show up in this stage. And psychologically, we say that between 0 to 4 years, it is an early intervention. Anything beyond 4 years is called a late intervention. So, if we actually diagnose this before that third or fourth year, it is easy to treat these learning disabilities. Once it starts becoming concrete and strong within these children, it becomes a little difficult to actually put them back on track, but it is not that it is impossible. There's a lot of effort that will have to go in. Right? So, those are one of the learning disabilities. So, what about things like ADHD? This is a term most commonly used. You might have heard of this. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Either the child is attention deficit or it is very hyperactive. So, which is the right age for you to track this? It is in the stage 1. This is where it starts developing. Here is a simple term. It's called the social cognizance, means they don't know what is happening in the surrounding. They behave as if it is their own world. This is one of the reasons. Or if the child is having other disabilities like your autism or dyslexia or any of these things, that can also lead to ADHD. So many of the parents, now you may be able to relate this a little more nicely. Many of the parents think that the child is very active and will become alright with time. Yes, very good. But if you can get a diagnosis done at this stage, then to rule out that there is nothing else existing, it's called the comorbidity test. That will help streamline things and put things in the right place or the right perspective. I think if we look at the second stage, you will start finding a lot of things like social withdrawal, high level of anxiety, too much of aggression. If the child is going through any of these symptoms, I'm not sure if you're able to see these things, but I will definitely be sharing a PDF of these symptoms and what you need to watch through after this in the WhatsApp group. So please do join my WhatsApp group, and who has got the link. Through that, you will be able to see some of the modified behaviors of the children which was not existing in stage 1. Now, Why is this behavior observation so very important? Like I said, this is the time when bonding plays a very, very important role. It is not just required to observe what the child is going through, but the parent has to go inside their world, step into their shoes, and understand what the child is going through, feeling, and what he or she is experiencing. Only then the child will be able to relate and connect to the parent and understand what the parent is suggesting and make modifications. Otherwise, it would be at a very superficial level and the child will not be able to have these modified behaviors. Stage 3 is when you see a lot of risk taking activities that happens, right? Either they go into an anxiety mode, a depression mode, or there could be a sudden drop in the academic performances. And this is combined with the hormonal changes that happens within the body, the exposure to the world, and believe me, the kind of groupism that happens or the peer influence, the influence from the friends that happen at this point in time can affect their behavior, the way they look at the life, and what they try to learn. Again, the bonding at this stage is going to happen in a different way, right? They would not encourage you to enter their world because they want to show that they are independent and they can manage things independently. So, this is where a different kind of bonding would come in, where they call it as a respect. We will go into each of these things and see what the child expects in each of these stages and what the parent could do. Well, if you're thinking that the child will grow normally and there is really nothing much that the child will get affected with, or there is not much that we can do about it, here's a simple list of disorders that you can actually see in each of these age groups. It's not an extensive list. It's just at the high level that I have included some of these things. It is not to really get worried about but or concerned about, but it is just to be aware that these are some of the disorders that usually we find in the clinics or in our practices when parents get their children to us, and it can be easily avoided by a good parenting style at home. Without paying much uh, time on this in terms of discussing what are these disorders, I'll move forward to understand and explain what each stage basically the child needs and what are the three things that the parents can actually do at that point in time. Right? So, if we go through the stage 1, what does a child really want? The child is expecting safety and emotion. These are the two things that the child needs to explore the world. Simply said, right? But there are three things that a parent can generally start practicing. One, the most important thing is to be available emotionally to the child. Physically, you will be there. But when the child cries, how do you respond? Do you respond with gentle tone? Do you pick up the child and pamper it? Do you actually, when he's throwing tantrums, do you allow him to throw tantrums for some time and then actually validate it? So these are some things that staying emotionally with the child will start making a difference. You have to relate to the child. Create simple and predictable routines. Remember that the child is actually building his behavior here now. So if the routines are not predictable, then the child has a difficulty to know what is normal and what is not normal. So, in case the child has a habit of sleeping late in the night, waking up early in the morning during these stages, and somehow catching up with his routine, when he enters the school, he would still consider that to be a normal. If he had a eating habit of when he is in a good mood, probably he would continue the same in the second stage. So, putting a routine is very, very important at this time in order to develop something what we call as a pattern. A pattern is nothing but the basic structure of a behavior. Validate and guide their emotions. This is an age of supremacy, right? So, when parents have this super comfort level of saying, if you keep crying, I am not going to give you this. Unless you listen to me, I will not do this for you. That is laying the boundaries. But within the boundary, there also needs to be some kind of a relation that is built in terms of going and asking him a positive psychology based questions like validate it. You're feeling sad. I can understand because you didn't get this toy, right? The child says, yes. Okay, if I can get this later for you, would that be fine? Or do you want to see something else? Now, what the child starts building is he may not understand at that point in time, but the subconscious process that happens is the child starts understanding that yes, you understood I'm feeling sad and you're trying to relate that to me. This validation is very, very important because if the parent does not encourage this kind of a parenting style at this time, I said you that there are going to be some disorders that later develops in the different four stages. This will get carried on. This will get carried on as an insecure feeling. Let's put this in the third stage, right? In the third stage, the child will feel that there's no point in telling to my parents, there's no point in crying in front of my parents, there's no point in arguing with my parents. They don't understand. And what they would do is they would start forming their opinions. So please validate and guide their emotions. This is one of the things that is very, very important in stage 1. I'll move on to the stage 2. The stage 2 basically covers 6 to 12 years, like we said. In the 6 to 12 years, the child is actually putting its efforts. So here are a few things that we need to encourage, right? You took the child, you grew that child in a small world. Now you have taken it and you're trying to expose it into a larger world. And in the larger world, it is putting all the lessons learned during the first stage into practice. And there is a conflict. Some may go right, some may go wrong. In this case, there is going to be failures. The child is going to give up attempting if there is no proper encouragement. So, give the child the confidence that he need not be perfect. He needs to keep practicing. Encourage the effort. This will build a very strong pattern and it will develop that confidence that failure can be turned into a success. Second stage, 6 to 12 years, just imagine the child is between first standard and the sixth standard. There is the important term, like I said, social cognizance, or how to behave socially and what is social responsibility. This starts from the house. So I always generally advise parents, do not treat them as too small to do the household works. Yes, maybe you don't want to do them all the works, but they can start doing their own works, start taking responsibility for their own things, and occasionally you can also start asking them help for managing a bit of the household chores or works so that they understand what social responsibility means, what social cognizance means, understanding what is happening around them and trying to make the perfect sense out of it. You would be surprised if I say that at this age, children are very, very, very sensitive in terms of picking up the nuances between the different types of communication you do. You would have experienced this. The children will catch you on the wrong foot if your communication is not consistent. If you are communicating in a particular style, if you are communicating in a particular tone, if you are using a certain set of vocabulary, and if you have a different kind of communication style, then that is something very, very important to be consistent. Why? Their emotional behavior or the emotional pattern is something that they pick up from your tone and your behaviors. How you behave, how you respond, how you communicate, what kind of vocabulary do you use, what is the pitch of your voice. When you are negotiating, when you are happy, when you are angry, when you are calm, how do you deal with this? This 6 to 12 years is where the emotional patterns are developing. Do remember, they are not expressing or experiencing, experimenting that, but definitely they are absorbing this entire emotional pattern. So you have to ensure that as far as possible it is consistent, you're practicing it across, and you are helping them develop this all through these ages. Because when they enter the next stage, remember the next stage is the practicing stage, 12 to 18, where they are creating their world, they are going in for finding out their identity, and they are trying to build something on their own. So the stage 2, we generally call it as belonging and connection. The stage 1, you introduce them to a world. In the stage 2, they go out, experience it, bring it back, and try to see the contradictions. This is where you have to connect with them and explain how things work, relate with them, have patience. And when you start including them within your family and your social responsibilities, they do start feeling a sense of belonging there. That is when they would actually know how it is to interact and start living. I've just moved on to the next slide, which is actually the most important one before they start becoming independent. The third stage is that of identity and respect. Children generally try to find out in this. You would have seen that when they are like 8th standard to about 12th standard or 10 plus 2 or PUC, what we call. They would be very sensitive about the way they dress, the way they speak, the way they walk, their appearance, the body deodorants that they want to use, the way they communicate. Everything starts changing here. This is an age of identity formation. And during this identity formation, they do expect that in return, they gain some respect. Where they don't gain respect, they would not be in that place, or they don't want to show up in that place. And this is where parents will actually play a very, very important role. in terms of teaching the child or helping the child saying, look, I am listening. I am listening to you. Don't worry about that. You just express, I am listening. And the most important thing here is do not advise them immediately. If you go for an advice, there will be a deflection or a resistance. So do not go for advising them, listen to them, relate to them. The second most important thing that you would want to do is set boundaries, but not exactly controlling them. Now, what does this mean, right? At this age, the children will want to explore the world as though they are ready to take off and fly into this world. But setting a healthy boundary and then saying them, why is that and what is that you are trying to do? Like, for example, I trust you, and here is why I am setting this rule. Like, for example, yes, you can go to your friend's birthday party. I trust you. But I want you to communicate to me that when you're leaving and where you are. I know that you're not going to do anything wrong. You just want to have fun. So go about doing it. All that I need is an information of your whereabouts. Healthy boundaries will let them understand that things can be explored in a controlled fashion. The last point may sound repetitive for you, stay emotionally available, but as psychologists, we see the stage 1 and the stage 3 almost same when it comes to emotional matters. In stage 1, the child wanted you to be emotionally available. In stage 3, also the child is emotionally very, very, very sensitive, but they wear a mask on their face. They do not reveal it. But they are craving for you to be emotionally available with them. So you see how your bonding is changing in every stage. There, in stage 1, they expressed and they wanted that bonding, emotional response from you. But in the stage 3, they crave for it, but they don't tell it. So you need to learn some different tricks here. How do you actually connect with the child? Being emotionally available at this time is spend some time. Let them speak up. You don't have to ask them. You don't have to keep questioning them. The most important thing that they want at this point in time is you being there with them and resonate in the same frequency. Simply put, it is like, okay, I see something might have gone wrong today with you. Did your day go well? Do you want to share anything? Okay, no problem. You can go back, take some rest. Do you want to go for a change, go for a walk and come back? I'm okay. We can talk later. These simple statements is more than enough for the child to give him a confidence that, okay, they understand and they're there for me. And they will speak up when they are ready. The last stage is when the parents will have to shift their perspective from parenting to being mentoring. This is where most of the time the conflict that happens, and where parents say that the child is out of control, they don't listen to us, they don't take our advices, they just want to do what they want. Yes, because we have grown them that way, right? In the first 3 stages, we have given them everything that they need to go and build a world of theirs and experience the existing world. So naturally, they are going to try to do that. And now, if we expect them to come back to our world, there's no whole point in parenting. So this is where I suggest parents have to step take a step back at least and watch the child. Be a mentor for them. Show them what is right, what is wrong, what consequences happen with this, and what consequences are going to happen with this. They will pick it up. Earlier they fail, sooner they fail, the more successful they're going to be in life. Mentoring is not going to be an easy task, trust me, because you would see some things happening wrong in front of you, and you will be provoked to actually say them that don't do this. But that's going to disturb the ecosystem that they are creating for themselves. Every brick in their world is going to be based out of experience. So, step back, have the patience, be a good mentor to them, and you will see that the bonding goes at a different level. Do not just stick to responsibility at this point in time. If your bonding is not working, shift your perspective towards the mentoring side. Like I said, every brick has to come out of experience, means that you need to give them that freedom to go and explore. Of course, you would say them certain areas not to venture in. There is good and bad existing in this world. You will share your experiences. You will share others' life lessons of what happens if you venture into some of those areas. But for those areas which are safe, it could be like making a choice of their career. It could be like the way they want to, uh, practice their lifestyle, the way they want to live or invest or manage their money. It could be the kind of friendship that they want to have, or it could be the kind of hobbies that they want to build. Some of these safe areas, it is a difficult task for a parent who has already spent almost 18 years guiding and safeguarding this child. But you need to somehow let that freedom and then see how they start exploring the world. The most important thing is, if you want the bond with your child to grow till the last, remember they have become adults. You have to start treating them like an adult. The better you treat them as an adult, the better they will treat you back the same way. So, an adult to adult bonding is much, much more stronger than a parent to child bonding at this age. Well, I hope this brings in the perspectives of how the bonding is transforming in its shape as the child is growing. In order to make this more informative, I will be creating smaller videos on each of these stages separately. I know it is very huge topic, a very vast topic to cover this entire paradigm of things within this half an hour or 45 minutes. But I hope I was able to convey the transformation of bonding over the different stages and how it is going to impact, and which are the areas where generally parents tend to lose the process of bonding because they start moving towards responsibility. The bonding, it starts moving towards responsibility, and gradually we see that the child starts adopting its own way of life. So how do we do this? Of course, at each stage there are some good practices that a parent can follow. But the takeaway of this session would be the 10 rules of bonding. I have tried to summarize this entire thing or bring out the 10 best practices that a parent can try to adopt during these stages. It was applicable to all the stages, and during each of these stage you can definitely apply all of these. Rule number 1: connection before correction. You should never give the child an impression that he is wrong and you're always right. Try to give the child an impression that I am there with you and I see what you're doing, and what you have done is correct from your perspective, and you can still do it better. The moment you start recognizing what he has done, what he or she has done, correction becomes an easier part. So you do not have to correct everything that a child does. Then the philosophy of parenting starts getting diluted. So, rule number 2: have a daily bonding time. Dining together on the lunch with the TV on, or during the dinner time, or going over the weekends and spending time in a mall or a movie. This is not bonding time, right? So, bonding time is where he understands your world and you understand what's happening in his world or her world. It could be as simple as just sitting, reading a newspaper, and talking to him about what article is interesting there for you in that newspaper. Trying to see what is his response. It could be as simple as coming back and saying, you know what happened today when I was coming back from office? How was your day? Would you like to share something of your college? Or did you go to the canteen today? What did you eat? Oh, was the food good? Oh, that's nice. Can you get some for me? Bonding is way beyond trying to understand the daily routines. So, if you can have that habit of somewhere creating a space anytime during the day of building that relation, entering into their world, then this bonding starts becoming much stronger. Like I said before, you do not have to correct the child, neither do you have to see the result. Praise the effort. The first and the foremost thing, like for instance, a child brings 58% marks. What would you do? I would suggest you say, good, you did your best. Leave it there. I'm pretty sure the next day the child would come back to you and say why he or she lost the remaining marks. But if you say only 58%, who got more? The child is going to be defensive and he's not going to open up. Praise the effort, not only the outcome. Rule number 4: use a calm tone. Like I said before, your tone communicates your emotions. And friends, when I talk of emotions, please understand your experience, the experience that you have gone through in your entire life, your temperament, your personality is reflecting in this tone. So you have to be careful of choosing the tone, because if you choose a tone, you are bringing the child into your world. Do you want him to give an experience of how his world is and what he is going through? Or do you want him to experience your world? The moment he recognizes your tone, he is going to be automatically brought to the world, to the experiences that you have had. So resonate as far as possible in the same tone, in a calm tone, in a neutral tone, or neither too aggravated nor too dull tone. In that fashion, what happens is the child still stays in their own world within their experiences, and you will have an opportunity to relate to that particular experience without overlapping your experience on theirs. Rule number five, validate their emotions. It is okay to be sad. It's okay to lose. It is okay to fail. There is nothing wrong. It is even okay sometimes to be lazy. You don't have to be active all the days. You're feeling sleepy today? Go ahead and sleep. Take rest. Tomorrow you can work hard. Their emotions, their feelings, when it comes, you have to understand that they are experiencing this as an individual. And when we are commenting on that as parents, we are saying either they are not fit, they are fit, they are not experiencing it rightly, or they are experiencing it in a very different way. Categorization confuses the child. But when you say it's okay to cry, it's okay to fail, it teaches them a very important lesson in life that yes, you can carry on and you're normal. Everybody goes through this. You're no different. This confidence is very, very important, be it irrespective of which stage they are in. Rule number six, it's always important to teach them kindness, empathy, and ignore arrogance. When we say sorry to our child, this sorry makes a lot of difference in them because, first thing, it shows that we are respecting them, we care for them, we understand them. Second most important thing it does is it teaches them that it is okay to get angry, but it is not okay to not apologize and patch up. When we start doing this, we only gain more respect from them, the bonding only becomes deeper, and the conversations and exchange of opinion becomes more meaningful. I think it's very, very important that the parents should not hesitate at any point in time to apologize because later this is the same behavior or character that the child is going to pick up. Friends, we are already 50 minutes into this session and there are still 4 more rules to cover. I would want to reserve this 10 minutes for any clarifications or questions that you might have that I would like to address. But to keep up my promise, I will share these 10 rules in the WhatsApp group as a PDF document. Many of you who have been in the group have already an access to that. I will share this so that you can use them as and when you feel free and keep that as a ready dictionary or a reckoner with you. Now I open this to any questions that you might have or anything that you would like to know more about. If you have any suggestions, please do feel free. Okay, I have one question. Teenage son comes home from school and prefers to stay alone at home. What can the parent do? Okay, I'll. This is a very good question. A teenage son comes home and prefers to stay alone. So what should a parent do? Yes, obviously there is going to be a lot of anxiety and worry in terms of what is the child going to do? Is he going to misuse the time? Is he going to use it rightly? The rules, like I said, with a safety guideline. Yes, I trust you. You can stay alone. And I would like to understand from you how you spend your time staying alone and what is that you are trying to achieve. One thing is, you can probably set a rule like to do's. Obviously, he would use the phone, he would use the internet, he would use the TV, or what he's going to play. But the most important thing is build the trust and say him, I'm going to trust you, provided you tell me what you're going to do, how you're going to spend this time. I don't want to judge you, but I want to understand and be a part of your world. Why would you want to do this alone? What if I also join you in this? Would you enjoy it? This, in a way, gives a subtle confidence in the child that yes, my parent is going to encourage me, but at the same time, it is also going to give you a lot of clue in terms of what the child is wanting and why is he wanting that. What is that you are not able to give being there, and why is that child wanting to be lonely? I hope that gives some insight. Is there any other question that I can take? I would be more than happy to answer you, or if at this point in time you do not have anything and at any point in time you would like to share your opinion, your thoughts, please do feel free to comment on the WhatsApp group. The idea behind creating this group on these YouTubes is basically to create a community of parenting, especially for positive parenting, where we can share our experiences, our problems, our concerns, and find out solutions without any kind of a hesitation or being judged. Please treat this as one platform where you can approach for any kind of a developmental issue, be it learning, be it mental or physical. We will definitely you of what's therapies or what is going on. I hope this was an informative session for you. I look forward to your support and participation in the future sessions. If there is any particular topic that you want me to cover, feel free to comment, feel free to suggest. The aim is ultimately to build a parenting community where we are all knowledgeable on psychological aspects, child development aspects, parenting style, and how these can be made better. There's another question. Give me a minute. Can the parent respond to a teenager asking and taking up a not so social hobby activity because of peer pressures? Okay, there is a very interesting question in terms of there's a very interesting question in terms of addiction problem, who is keen on taking up a not so social hobby. Yes, identity crisis, right? So the question is like, many of the children of this age are inclined towards some kind of an addiction. It could be smoking, it could be weed, it could be alcohol. Don't be surprised. I have got children from the age of 13, 14 who have got into this habit, who have come. I've also finished my de-addiction program from Nimhans, so I do de-addiction programs too. So I'm not surprised with this question. It's a very fair question. So here comes the crux of this, right? So what basically happens and why this happens is not because they want to get into this, but it is because of an identity crisis. If they are in a group where this is considered common, it is normalized, and if this child does not want to do it, they do not belong to that group. And at the age when we say of third stage and the fourth stage, peer group is all that they have. A peer group identity is their survival identity. And in order to be amongst that group, children are inclined to pick this up. So, what does a parent do? The first case is identify the peer or the influencing factors, where this is coming from. If you have to curtail the habit, you have to curtail the influence first. Only then you will be able to motivate the child in the right direction. So, to simply answer your question, I would say it all starts with an identity or an identity crisis. I hope that answers. Is there any other questions that you would want me to take? Hope that answers. If you want more details on both the questions that has been put forward, I can share that. You just have to drop me a note in the WhatsApp group. I'll definitely send you a write-up on that. Okay. We are almost towards the end of this session. If there is no other question that you have, I would request you to follow us on this Facebook, and you can refer to the website for a lot more details and blogs. I really appreciate and thank you for taking time, participating this and making it such an interactive session. I look forward to your support and your participation in the future sessions. Please help spread the word of this community, as this is aimed at building the community more stronger, larger and more visible. It will encourage me to bring in more topics, more such insights, psychological insights.